Hey, thanks for stopping by the channel. I got a fun one today. We're going to be spray painting the brake calipers on my 2014 Tesla Model S. Super easy, and it doesn't cost you very much. Really, here's what you gotta have. I like this VHT Caliper Paint. Pick your color. Got it at AutoZone. Also from AutoZone or a lot of other stores carry this stuff. It's your CRC brake clean. This is your clean, this is your paint. You're gonna probably want a brush to help scrape and scrub some of the grime off after you spray it down. Not shown here, I do have some kind of a degreaser, which is always helpful to kind of get things started. Once you're done cleaning and you're ready to paint, today I'm gonna be using just a simple trash bag and blue tape to help keep the paint away from the areas we don't want to get it on, like the rest of the brake components and of course the car. So let's get started. Now that we got the car jacked up and the wheels off, we can take a look at this a little bit closer. You can see a couple things we got to do before we get started. Just cleaning this sucker as best as we can. It may not look super dirty right now, but it is. There's a little bit of stuff on there. Anything in the way of the contact with the metal with the paint is going to keep it from being a really strong bond. So right inside here on this guy, we're going to get really good in there with that degreaser and the brake clean first, and then we'll get it taped off and ready to paint. So you really want to make sure you get the degreaser on there really well, let it soak in and start working to break down that first layer of grease on it. You may even have to hit it a couple times in order to fully get it, but let it soak before you start scrubbing. See, it's already set in, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit it one more time with the degreaser so it's nice and wet before I start scrubbing. This can get pretty messy, but you want to really make sure you get in all the places where that grease is hiding so that paint bonds really well. And then when you just about think it's clean, check it, and you might need to clean it again. If nothing else, at the end of the day, you got really clean brake calipers. Once you think you got most of it off of there, go ahead and give it a good spray with a strong jet of water. Next step, CRC brake clean. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that we get everything kind of dried off. There's a lot of water in here, and ultimately we gotta get them dry before we can paint. So I'm gonna make sure they're dry, and that this stuff can make contact directly with that last bit of grease that we're trying to get rid of. The great thing about this stuff is it dries extremely quickly. It always doesn't hurt to give it a quick wipe down. Okay, we're done cleaning, but there's one more step inside the preparation. We got to tape things off and get that plastic bag on there to cover the wheel well as a little bit of the outside of the car. We want to make sure that we don't get paint where we don't want it. So before I put that bag on, we're going to tape some special areas to make sure that they're covered. You're going to want to make sure that you get this brake drain valve covered really well. You want to make sure it stays out of the way, but also you got that tape on there to protect it. You don't have to absolutely be perfect with this tape, but if you're at all worried about the bag not covering some of these areas, go ahead and hit it with the tape. As you can see, I've got all these areas taped off in blue. Of course, you don't have to be perfect with this. As you can see, I used about 1,000 different pieces of tape to make sure I got this into the places I wanted. Okay, so the trick to this bag thing here is threefold. One, get a bag that's pretty good size. That normal kitchen bag you got in there, probably not gonna be big enough. You're gonna want a big lawn bag. Then you're gonna need to grab yourself like a knife or a pair of scissors nice and sharp and cut all the way down the side of the bag so you get the long edge of it. Okay, then you're gonna reach all the way into that inside corner, and just around that corner you're going to want to cut an incision It's about, say, maybe half the size of the brake caliper. That way when you get it over it, you can stretch it and it'll suck back around it. On this one, you can see I got two different components here. So for this one, I cut the hole for 1. So if you have this situation, cut that first hole, then stretch it over here, kind of find where it needs to be, and then make that little prick in the plastic essentially, and then just stretch it over it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this VHT red caliper paint here, and we're gonna make sure that we put it on in some extremely light coats. It's gonna look like you're just kind of like doing a crappy job at first, but let me tell you, slowly add a coat, light, wait 5 to 10 minutes, throw another one on. We're gonna do that probably 3, maybe 4 times to kind of build it up, and then we're gonna hit it with 1 or 2 really thick coats and let it dry. Well, that's a wrap. We got all the calipers painted, 4 light coats, 2 thick coats. I waited until it was dry enough before I took off all the plastic and all the tape. Don't want to scratch that up and put your fingerprints in it. That's a mistake that you don't want to have happen. You can also see that I put on these Tesla decals. Super easy to do, super cheap. Look out for another video on how to do those. I did it while the paint was still not fully cured. That way you don't have to do this on another day. It's really easy. All right, so breakdown, we got paint can and the brake cleaner costing about 15 bucks total. Everything else I had on hand already, and you probably do too. If you don't have a specific degreaser that you can spray on there, you can always use just like a dish soap like Dawn. Mix it up real concentrated with water, scrub it on there, and it'll get the job done as well. Hey, if you like what you saw here, you like what you're seeing on the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you got a comment, leave it down there. You know, if you want to let people know a better way to do this, feed it into the community and help each other out. Until next time, see you later.